I have a very clear sense, and I hope I'm wrong, that what we have here is a permissive environment. We have a set of circumstances where, regardless of what you saw of the PMD issue, we, for the longest period of time, pushed to get a real sense of what was the breadth and scope as to how far Iran got in development of its efforts for a nuclear weapon. And for the longest period of time, the government of the United States said that we needed to know that. And then what we got really was a process in the JCPOA that gave Iran the easy out by just simply answering questions as they wanted it without really fully coming clean. And the result was that that's closed. Now, the administration consistently came before this committee and said that if we move aside from the nuclear portfolio, that we would aggressively pursue Iran's violations of international order, missile technology, weapons trafficking, human rights, and its hegemonic interests in the region. And so what we've seen since, we have seen not one, but two missile tests. We have seen an interdiction of arms shipments off of Oman. And I don't think we can expect the Security Council to do anything about it because of Russia and China. So the question is the administration ready to act and find its own set of actions so that Iran understands the consequences for violating the international order, and setting the tone so that when the full implementation of the JCPOA takes place, that we will have a very clear understanding by them that failure to comply fully will have consequences.
Senator, I would stress that we fully concur with you and the rest of this committee that Iran has violated these Security Council resolutions in its missile program and does commit many other things that are very hostile to our interests.
So what are we going to do about it? That's the question.
Well, there have been, Iran is one of the most sanctioned countries on earth, thanks to a really effective partnership that we've had with this committee over two presidential administrations in putting together a patchwork of a sanctioned regime that has exacted serious costs to the Iranian economy. We believe going forward, as we confirm these missile launches, we've been swift in condemning them, as we did, as Ambassador Power did in the Security Council, and measures that we will take in response to those confirmed missile launches. We are actively considering additional measures at this moment.
Well, if you say to me, Ambassador, that they're the most sanctioned, it almost implies that there's nothing else we can do. If that's the case, then we're in deep trouble. But those sanctions are going to be coming off, assuming implementation. So the bottom line is, and I see Ms. Hafta shaking her head no, but as far as I understand, those sanctions are going to be coming off upon implementation.
Sir, those nuclear-related sanctions—
That's what I'm talking about. They're going to be off.
Will come off when Iran has rid itself of 98% of its enriched uranium stockpile.
So if those sanctions no longer exist, and if you're saying they're the most sanctioned country in the world, I assume that you're referring to that they're non-nuclear sanctions, so then what is left to do? Basically to let Iran violate without consequence.
Senator, I would underscore that a very important part of the agreement that we negotiated with Iran was the snapback provision that allows the reimposition of sanctions for any violation of the agreement. And the United States is not bound by any—
But Ambassador, these are non-nuclear actions. Let's put the nuclear portfolio aside. If Iran continues to violate non-nuclear actions that are in violation of UN Security Council resolutions, in violation of what Secretary Kerry said before the committee, that we will aggressively pursue Iran on violations that take place for missile technology, for human rights, for arms trafficking, then what's left?
Well, we will use the considerable full authorities that we have to take action, and perhaps I could ask my colleague, Assistant Secretary Countryman, who oversees those authorities in pursuing our nonproliferation interests.
Specifically with regard to ballistic missile technology, we rely on two related concepts. One is sanctions, one is strategic trade controls. It is correct that we've sanctioned virtually every Iranian entity that is connected with the ballistic missile program so that they cannot do commerce with the U.S. or acquire U.S. technology legally or use the U.S. financial system. And we have also used such sanctions and designations against commercial entities in other countries that have traded with the Iranian ballistic missile program. Those sanctions remain in effect. We retain the authority to impose those sanctions even after the nuclear-related sanctions are lifted. And we retain, as the previous administration, and I think the next administration, the determination to do so. Strategic trade controls are different. They allow us, through the Missile Technology Control Regime, through the Proliferation Security Initiative, in support of the UN Security Council resolutions, to partner with dozens of nations around the world in order, as I said, to interrupt, delay, impede in every way possible the transfer of such technology. We have not and we cannot entirely stop that trade, but we believe that our efforts, which will continue after nuclear-related sanctions are lifted, have made the Iranian missile program less productive, less accurate, less of a threat to our friends in the region than it otherwise would have been.
Well, let me close by saying, Mr. Chairman, number one, I'm going to be looking forward to see what actions you take. And so far, they haven't been forthcoming. Number two, you talk about snapback, you have to snap back to something, and the Iran Sanctions Act that I authored and that my colleagues here all helped us with and passed unanimously through the Senate expire this coming year. And I'm going to seek its reauthorization because you have to snap back to something. And number three, I have been following Iran since my days in the House of Representatives for the better part of 20 years. And I know some of my colleagues think that this is a question internally in Iran of showing that the hardliners have still some strength by firing missile technology and testing it. I know that Iran, over the last 2 decades, has tested the will of the international community, and that's why they got to the point that they were on the verge of having the nuclear power that could be converted to nuclear weapons. And basically, we said, well, it's too big to roll back. So at the end of the day, if we allow them to continue to test us, they have a history. They've tested us and the world. And if we allow them to continue to test us without consequence, believe me that they will continue to expand. And that is the risk here. And that's what I hope we can come together on, not only in an understanding, but in an action.